Good morning. It's Wednesday, September 13th, 2017, and we're here for a weekly board meeting. But this week we're in Donald, Oregon. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. I should say it's 20909 Feller Street, Donald. We start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That pleased me. I could see the enthusiasm, nobody kneeling down the way it should be. Thank you. We'll start, public comment is always our first opportunity, and nobody has taken that. So we'll get right into some presentations. First of all, I should say thank you for letting us come here. A beautiful morning and a nice setup. Donuts and coffee's tough to beat. Let's just be serious. And we'll start with the mayor of Donald, Rick Olmsted. If you'd come up and introduce yourself and tell us about Donald.
Good morning. I'm Rick Olmsted. I'm the mayor of Donald, and I want to welcome the commissioners and their staff here. I had the opportunity to attend one of these board sessions in Hubbard several months ago, and it piqued my interest, and here we are. And this is a great thing, and we appreciate your support, and hopefully you can learn a bit more about Donald this morning. We have a variety of presenters, and I'm looking forward to what they have to say as well. Donald's beginning our journey towards downtown revitalization. We, with the help of Marion County Community Services and their rare participants, we currently have 13 citizen and business leaders that are forming the core of our revitalization efforts, and we're hopefully going to gather momentum. We're going to involve others, and we're all trying to make Donald a better place to live and do business. And in essence, that's the job I see of city government, is to make wherever you are a better place, a safer place, and to promote safety and just a active, vibrant feeling, and have people enjoy their city and hopefully take part in volunteer opportunities as they come about. Saturday, Donald's hosting a annual cleanup day. Well, I say annual, it's our first cleanup day, but hopefully we can make it an annual thing. We've obtained a general garbage dumpster, a scrap metal dumpster, and a yard debris dumpster. And then organically, Donald's going to take in e-waste and paint. We found an organization that not only recycles the paint, they recycle the cans and the buckets. And so we're hopefully going to take care of some folks that need a little help with disposing of their garbage and get a feeling of pride in our neighborhoods, and that's what we're hoping to do. Hopefully we'll improve the appearance of Donald. Both I and our city manager, Heidi Bell, greatly benefit from outside trainings and meetings. The City Day at the Capitol that the League of Oregon Cities put on was very interesting. Every training, every meeting I go to, I learn things. And as a new mayor, that's pretty important. The small cities, the regional small cities meetings are very informative. We're Region 2, but I was at a training in Lebanon last year, and I ended up going to a Region 4 meeting. And that was interesting too, because it expands my horizon to hear what other small cities are dealing with. We attended the Mid-Valley Rural Economic Conference. That was great. Hopefully that will be an annual thing. That was very informative and very useful. And when we go to these meetings, we meet other elected officials and staff members and form a network and help each other solve problems. The Friends of French Prairie is a nice regional organization, brings together elected officials and other people in the region, have a nice interchange, get informed on what the legislature is doing, and just, it's helpful that we have time together to address issues and to help each other. You know, I might have something that I'm struggling with where a fellow mayor, they've been through that. So it's handy if there's a forum for information exchange. This December, in early December, we're having our Santa sing-along right here in this facility, and we will invite you to join and maybe even take the lead on one of the carols. That would be great.
Janet can handle that for us, thank you.
That would be very nice. What we used to have is we used to have a tree lighting ceremony in front of City Hall. Individual households would say, here's my ornament, and there's one with my family name on it. And we have a very large pine tree, and we still decorate the pine tree, but it was too constricting. We had too many people for City Hall, so we needed a bigger space. So we've moved it to this facility, which is very kind of the fire district to allow us to do that. And the citizens of Donald have a great time, and they're the kids, and we have a Santa. And so it's something that we look forward to, and hopefully you can attend that. Do you have any questions of me before we move to the next presenter?
A number of them, perhaps.
Great.
Well, I'll start out with just a comment. I was a mayor of Sublimity, and you were really getting at it. I went to those mayor's meetings, and I got more out of that. I really learned that the problems were the same, whether it's Portland or Sublimity. It's the scale that was different, and learned more there than anything, so certainly. I kind of looked over your website and some resolutions. Looks like about a $3 million budget, if I see it right. One other that was interesting with an event coming up tomorrow, membership in SEDCOR. I don't know if that's a long relationship, and I hope they've been helpful to you. Any comment on that?
They're the organization that overlooks the North Marion economic zone.
Well, you're certainly booming here. I was hoping you to say, yeah, they're helping a bunch.
Well, the economic zone encompasses Aurora and Hubbard and Donald. And you can, if you came in from the north, you can't miss our main building for the Donald Industrial Park. There's going to be three additional buildings, one half the size and two a quarter of the size. And the tenants for those have yet to be determined. It's a night and day difference in the appearance, and they're busy preparing the site and now preparing the building. It's going to be an interesting time, and people will. We have comments on the entire spectrum. People are happy that industry is here, and there are people that are very unhappy that say, this is not my small town anymore. But we have, life is progress, and this is the step we've taken, and hopefully they can be good neighbors just like our other businesses, and for the benefit, perhaps they can source jobs for the citizens of Donald, and that would be a good thing.
I grew up pretty close on Crosby Road, so a lot of familiarity. It was different in those days, but it's happy to see it grow. The last thing I'll do before the commissioners may have a question was impacts on transportation with Donald Interchange and Newburgh Dundee Bypass. And I'll start out by saying we've been working hard to try to get that moved up on the list and get some things done. Had some progress, but from what I've seen in this job, progress is over a period of 20 years, and we're just the first couple into it, but we know the impacts and are certainly trying to do something about it. So with that, excuse me, I probably shouldn't have started, but any other questions or comments?
Just thank you I'm looking forward to all the presentations this morning. Really appreciate being here. And I have been at your Christmas
Great,
celebration.
yes, that's good, good. So the Ellen Road, the road from Newburgh that feeds into the interchange has a traffic count of 8,000 vehicles a day. And it's worrying because we've had fatality accidents at the Butteville-Allen intersection. Recently, we've had rumble strips installed at the stop signs, and I think that's a good thing. I know that that is only the first step, and that if we still continue to have issues with that intersection, they have other traffic calming measures that can be taken. So we're happy to work with the Public Works to make that as safe as intersection as possible, knowing that the traffic flow is a major artery.
I bring it up just to tell you that we're aware of it and doing what we can. And Commissioner Cameron's been working even longer in this particular subject.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for hosting us today, first off, and not only this, but the other events, even your predecessor, I see Daryl sitting behind you, hosting us here for those North County public safety traffic meetings, and I really appreciate the cooperation that we have working together with county and Heidi and everybody else to try to solve some of these problems that I want to say challenges that we all encounter as the world grows, and little Donald is growing quite quickly, as we'll hear about today, and I think we're going to hear some more from about education and enforcement and engineering that we're working on to try to solve some of those traffic problems. And we'll have another follow-up community meeting probably here in the next few months to talk about it. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I yield the floor to our city manager, Heidi Bell.
Thank you. Welcome, Heidi. This is the person who gets it done. I know that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for coming today and making your trek out to Donald. And I want to say thank you to all the presenters in the community as well for being able to engage with you today as well. So, welcome to the city of Donald. I'm here today to tell you about what makes our little city great. I'm Heidi Bell, and I'm the city manager of Donald. I've been here since March 1st, 2012. Where is Donald? Well, I hear most of you made it here without any trouble, but a few of you, we do struggle with people thinking Donald is so small, but yet we have so much on our side streets too. Our core district isn't just Main Street, it's also Oak Street is what we're finding out and what we're advocating. The mayor mentioned to you that we are in the midst of putting together something that'll be similar to a Main Street Oregon program. And in front of you, I put our questionnaire that Connie Bradley put together for us, for our group, and you'll hear from her. She's from GK. So if you wanted to look at that at some time today or in the next few days when you have time, that would be great. So where is Donald? Donald is very centrally located. You may not know this. We are 24 miles from Portland, 27 miles from Salem, so further from Salem than Portland. Newburgh is 10 miles away. Wilsonville and Woodburn are just 8 miles away. So that's great for business, great for residents to be able to commute, and I think that's part of what makes Donald attractive. We also have a couple of nearby landmarks that are important too. We have Shampooy Park that's just 4 miles away that gets lots of tourism and traffic and cyclists. And then the Aurora Airport is just 6 miles away too. And I'm told it's the 3rd busiest airport in the state of Oregon. Some other basics. Our population is just shy of 1,000, but we are about 2 people bigger than Aurora. We are just shy of 1/4 of a square miles. We had several different people that participated in finding and incorporating Donald, but ultimately when things shook out, it was named after a man, R.L. Donald, and he was the engineer for the railroad that goes right through the middle of town here and separates 2 sides of town. You can see the substation that he was the engineer and built. He was also friends with Woodrow Wilson, who lived out in Newburgh at that time. Donald had, so that we were incorporated, in December 6th, 1912, and when I came here, we celebrated our 100th anniversary, and I remember the chair attended that event, and we had a nice cake.
Was it 100 years ago?
It was 100 years ago, we were here, yeah. It was when I first started in 2012. We celebrated the 100th. Donald does belong to the North Marion County Enterprise Zone, and SEDCOR is supportive of that. And for just $500 a year, the city pays a membership, and they lead us through all of that paperwork, which is phenomenal to have that support. It's a lot of technical information, and so having that is critical to getting that, to having that enterprise zone. We have a 7-member city council led by Mayor Rick Olmsted. We meet on the second Tuesday of the month at 6:45. We have an active planning commission. They meet on the 4th Thursday of the month at 6:45, and we welcome you to attend any of those meetings. Business in Donald. Man, we've got a long list of businesses. I couldn't even fit it on one slide. We have lots of home occupation businesses as well. If you are interested in looking at all the businesses, the city's webpage has a great list under the administration tab, but some of our big businesses include GK Machine, Bear Electric, Holland Fabricators, Valley Pacific Construction, Harris Goes, Wilco, Hazelnut Growers of Oregon, Rich's Gun Shop and Shooting Range, and it might be shooting with an N. Range, we'll hear that later, I'm sure. Donald Tavern, Donald Market, Donald Cafe, Javez Heating and Cooling, Heavenly Heat, Material Flow, Thompson Gas, Boone Incorporated, Sunbelt Realties, and the list goes on. So what are the difficulties in Donald? Well, part of what makes us attractive to business is that we have a super low tax rate at 87 cents for $1,000 of assessed value. So what does that mean with a population of just shy of 1,000? That means that we get about $56,000 a year for our general fund. General fund pays for administration, parks, planning, buildings, economic development, community development projects. So it's very, it gets tricky to be able to get things done and find funding. And we have a lot of course, fixed in expenses. You know, we have to keep the lights on, and they have to pay for me, of course. But we rely lots on grants, and we rely on our volunteers. And luckily in Donald, we do have people that step forward with resources of time and money. Our staffing in City Hall, we have 2 full-time and 1 half-time employee. Public Works, we have 2 full-time employees and 1 seasonal laborer. So I'm going to go over a list pretty quickly of all the grants that we've received from just 2013 to 2017. And the reason why I show you this is because I would like to drive home the importance of your grants that you give to the City of Donald. Because without them, we can't move forward, and we can't get things done that we need to get done to keep up. So, economic development project we're currently working on, which is this questionnaire, is the county, your community service development department is giving labor and expertise. We're engaged in a urban growth boundary expansion project study, which you funded at $14,000 for the study. We have walking maps that were installed from the Hill Cities campaign at $5,000. The Donald Charrette was done a few years ago, which gave us some leverage to get a lot of other grants. That was funded at the DLCD by $1,000. The DLCD also gave us a few years back a technical assistance grant for $70,000, which paid for a rare participant to come in and did economic and housing elements for our comp plan updates. And that individual did both the work for the City of Donald and Jervis at the same time. We were recognized by Governor Kitzoffer's office for that unique partnership. We did a community center renovation, which Marion County funded at $10,018, and also partnership with our local people. Donations were $1,300 for that community center reno. The City County Insurance Services has given us $800 for security updates. In order to get that Donald Industrial Park, we have to give them water, of course, and that is very expensive to get that line, the water line over there. Marion County gave $50,000 to bore underneath the railroad tracks, and then the state of Oregon gave $200,000. We are on a commercial, a TV commercial. If you haven't seen it yet, please check out our website for that $200,000. It's an Oregon Lottery commercial. It's called Glamorous, but it's very gritty looking. And next time around, I really think that the Oregon Lottery should put where they filmed it, because it even involves our local workers at Valley Pacific Construction. So that was a $200,000 grant with lottery monies. The development code project that we're going through right now, looking at our development code and how to change it for elements like affordable housing and pedestrian-friendly city, that's funded at about $70,000. Matthews Street by the tavern was paved for an SCA grant through ODOT for $50,000. And the Business Oregon also funded a water rate study at $18,345. If you add those numbers up, they're just shy of $500,000. And I think that I'm forgetting a couple, but that is what I can remember the other day. We're in the midst of applying for three more grants, two with Business Oregon, one for a master plan for our water and another for a master plan for our wastewater, each at $20,000. We're also applying for an ODOT SCA grant for sidewalks to do downtown Donald, which we do actually need your support on because Main Street is under the jurisdiction of Marion County, but Donald is the local road authority. So it would be great to have some sort of, support letter to tie in to show to the state for that. And then we're in the midst of really looking for a grant to fund for playground equipment. I urge you, if you have not seen the Donald Playground, to go drive by it. It is not in the best condition, and I don't know if you know, but playgrounds are extremely expensive. So if you know of any grants or any resources out there, that would be wonderful for the kids. We have many community volunteer opportunities. You could serve as the mayor, you could serve on the city council or on the planning commission. We have an Adopt a Road program locally. The Hazelnut Festival is always looking for volunteers. They are a separate nonprofit organization in the city. The Donald Downtown Beautification Group, it's similar to a Main Street Oregon, we're getting going here. And then we have City Hall volunteer. Gloria Nicholson has volunteered before and brought us up to speed in all of our files, which is wonderful to have that support. And then we've had volunteers help with different history projects over time. On the next page, I have a long list of events that you can see. We're always having fun in Donald, which is, I think, that's the most important thing, right? There's always a lot of work, but you got to have fun while you're doing it. Otherwise, it just doesn't shake out right. So how can you keep up with all these events and all these things that we've got going on? You can always check out our newsletter. It's the Donald Monthly Record, and the city's website. We keep very current with that. The sandwich board outside of City Hall, if you're driving by. We have 3 public notice boards, one at City Hall, one at the community center, and one at the small park. You can always, we have a notification email list, and so to subscribe to that, you write notices at donaldoregon.gov in your email, and then the subject, you just write subscribe, and then you just push send. It's that easy. There's also a privately operated Friends of Donald Facebook page. It's not done by the city, but that's a good way to kind of keep pulse on what's happening here. And then challenges for our future, wrapping up. Of course, funding. Funding for infrastructure, for police, and for code enforcement and municipal court are what we're looking at. The regional influences, the outside cities and outside of Marion County even, the way that they are operating actually has, a toll on and affects what happens to us locally. So we don't operate independently. We have a housing problem in Donald. We only have about 2, we have currently, I think, 2 open houses and 1 is in foreclosure. So that really means we only have 1. And that's been, even through the recession, that was what we had here in Donald. We don't have very many multi-housing, apartments or condos or duplexes. We don't have those in Donald. And then pedestrian-friendly, developing our sidewalks is, of course, a concern. And lastly, traffic safety, which we all know about. So if you have any questions, once again, I'm Heidi Bell, the city manager of Donald, and I really do appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
You do? No. I saw Kevin, right? Oh, he's got a list. Oh, okay, get ready.
Kevin.
No, I've got a list of follow-up things.
Oh.
They need a letter of support on your
Yeah.
sidewalk issue. Or
That would be great.
Playground, so you can maybe, community grants are coming up pretty quick.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what the dates those will open up.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Parks and Recreation, though, might be a better source.
Yeah.
Because it's more expensive, I think, even than what the community grants will
Right,
be able to do.
so our community
Yeah.
services department can help.
That's very
I worked with
that.
Kaiser on the big toy
Oh, okay.
rides, within that group, I was the.
And I think think you're working, I think James Labar from Regional Solutions is working with the housing issue, some ideas that the governor's office has, and
Yes.
involved with that too, with our economic development coordinator, Tom.
Great.
So hopefully we can work towards some of
Yeah.
those unique solutions they're talking about.
Last night, the city council approved to work with GK Machine on the RFI that was announced by the governor's office.
Just came
So
out, and it's
that
due the
unique
end of this
partnership.
month. Yeah,
Mhm.
perfect. So
Yep.
let us know how we can help on that.
Thank you.
And the last thing I would say, Heidi, it's just been great to work with you, and this town is really blessed, not only the town, but North Marion County from your service and what you've accomplished here. So it's
Thank you.
been an honor to work with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Commissioner. That's very nice.
No, wait a minute.
What was
I
that?
should leave it at that, and I'm gonna criticize, I hate that.
What was that? I missed
I
it.
have one, I think it's not Woodrow Wilson, I think it's Herbert Hoover.
It is Herbert Hoover.
Thank you.
Woodrow Wilson, sorry, it is
One
not
mistake.
Woodward. It is, yeah, but that's an important mistake.
Heidi, don't worry about
Thank
it. I haven't
you.
reached perfection with him either, so.
It
But
is,
none of it's
yes, it is not.
And number
Woodrow
two,
Wilson,
my
it is
last
Herbert
question is,
Hoover.
do you like your job?
I love my
I
job.
know you do, I can
Thank
see
you.
it.
Yeah,
And-
thank
And
you.
keep doing good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll probably say the last name wrong, but we'll stick with Donald, Director of Public Works, Alonzo Limones, or Limones.
You got it. Nope, you got it.
Got it right the first time, should have left it alone.
So, welcome, commissioners, and thank you for coming to our town. And I just want to talk to you about Public Works and what our responsibilities are here and our challenges. I know you all are aware of how Public Works industry works or departments work. Here in Donald, we actually get to do it all. I mean, we're water, wastewater, storm drain, streets, parks, and code enforcement, believe it or not. We manage our wastewater system. It's what it's called a step system, and I'm not exactly sure how familiar you are with that, but what it means is just basically septic tank system. We manage about 385 septic tanks. All that wastewater from buildings, houses flow into the septic tanks where pumps and floats and different components push the water out on pipes onto our wastewater treatment plant, which is a lagoon system. From there, you know, the way we discharge or dispose this water is by land-up line. On the north side of our wastewater treatment plant, we have about 40 acres that we can utilize to apply this water. With our water, we have our groundwater is our source. We have 2 wells, and we follow, or the way we treat this water is by oxidation and filtration, removal of iron and manganese. And for storage capacity or water storage capacity, we have 2 reservoirs. One was built in 1980, and it's a steel tank, and it's about 200,000 gallon reservoir. And the second one was built in 2005, and it's a 325,000 gallon reservoir. We have about 398 connections. For storm drain, we have 50 catch basins, and it's just a very simple system. Just catch basins, and all the runoff water just flows into ditches, you know, out in Butteville Road, and from there it goes down into Ryan Creek, which is on the northwest side of town. For the parks, we have 2 parks. The kids park right next to City Hall here on the west side, and on the east side we have the skate park with the basketball court. And as Hattie mentioned, we definitely need a upgrade on that park. And then for streets, we have about 2.35 miles of streets, which Main Street and Butteville Road are Marion County's jurisdiction, but it's city's authority. So, as far as our challenges goes, right now, I would say that our water and wastewater system are at capacity. What that means is that we cannot provide any more services. If the city ever expands, there would have to be a major upgrade and upsize of our system. That's one of the biggest or probably challenges is finding the funding for that. Once we, if we could get the funding, as our city manager mentioned, that we're in the process of applying for grants to upgrade our water and wastewater master plans to determine what the future of Donald really is, and actually it's based on that. It's based on what are we going to do to provide the service if this city ever expands. And then the other is just to keep up with what we got. Our systems, at their 35-year plus age, our infrastructure. So there's just always a lot of repairs and different things that we got to do. And in this packet that I included for you guys, there's the projects that we have completed, as far as infrastructure improvement. And kind of my message to you today is basically leave you with that. I mean, Donald, it's just a great town. I love working here. But if there's ever anything as far as the future goes, I mean, we need to overcome the challenges that we have to basically determine Donald's future. And thank you. And do you have any questions for me?
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Alonso, is the water supply enough for future growth? Your 2 reservoirs and your 2 wells?
My 2 reservoirs could do it, but I'm not producing enough water to keep up with demand.
We know we have that problem in St. Paul too. So
And one of the things that we're looking at right now is basically finding or drilling another well.
Okay, and then the sewer upgrade you spoke to, is the sewer capacity enough to finish the industrial park that we heard about, the new buildings that Heidi talked, I think Heidi mentioned them, or the mayor mentioned the 3 more buildings?
Yes, basically that was the last project that we could allow in, and they were actually we had them on limitations of how much wastewater they could produce.
Okay, and then I believe your drain field or your sewer handles the interchange, right, that we manage?
Yes, as well.
Our special district over there.
Yes,
Okay.
well. And with that upgrade that went over there with the Flying J, basically put that lagoon compromise that lagoon, because now that lagoon, it's basically full by the end of almost winter. And most of the times we got to transfer from that lagoon into our lagoons, and then we compromise the entire system.
So that's a real critical piece of infrastructure for the future,
Yes.
more than water even.
Yes.
Okay. Appreciate it, thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions, comments,
All
concerns?
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, our next is Dave Hetrick. He's the chair of the Donald Hazen Festival. Good morning, Dave.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. I have presentations here printed if anybody wants to actually look at what I'm saying here, so you're more than welcome to follow along. I am Dave Hetrick, director of the Hazelnut Festival for the last 2 years. I'm a founding board member beginning in 2013. I'm also a resident of the city. I'm an employee of GK Machine, and I've been on the Planning Commission. I've been on the City Council for several years. So my history is here for the last, since 2004. When I moved in, I became a part of it. You might be asking, what is the Donald Hazelnut Festival? We've had several people wonder that. We took over the Donald Days Festival in 2013, and it is a 501(c) corporation, nonprofit, and it is an all-volunteer board and committee. It is made up of people in the city and outside of the city. We got together mainly just because we recognize that Donald has an image problem. And the people inside the city and the people outside the city don't view this city, or they didn't at that time, very well. So we thought we can improve that. So we took it on, and we aimed to make something that the city could be proud of. As Heidi said earlier, the population of the city is 1,000, and the first year that we had this festival, whenever we got together, we actually drew 1,000 people into the city, or we counted the population of the city as 1,000. The interesting thing about the festival that first year was that we have a car show that we have every year with this. We invited 30 car clubs. They all came, and on the way, the city of the Sherwood Cruisers Car Club had to call us halfway here and ask for directions on how to get to the city because they got lost. This is a group of people that drive around for a living and they couldn't even find the city. So after fighting that uphill battle, we look at the past year, 2017, and we had actually drawn 5,000 people this year, and none of them got lost. We are taking great pride in the fact that they were actually able to find us. We are completely funded by corporate and private donations. In the 5 years that we've been in existence, we have raised over $60,000 in cash, and we've also raised about $60,000 to $80,000 in like donations. So for a little tiny town of 1,000 people, we've been able to raise about $140,000 in donations from people that want to support this. That's us. We're the committee, and this is a picture taken on KATU television this year. I just wanted to show a list of the people that are supporting us, the local citizens and the local businesses. This is a fantastic representation of the people and the companies that represent us, and we're very proud of them. We have an amazing group of sponsors, and as you can look on there, that's a who's who of the local companies. And as I said, I'll be able to supply that. Thank you. You're welcome to them all. We'd like to take credit for Wilco bringing the large company here, the Hazelnut Growers of Oregon. I'm sure a few other people had influence on that, but we'll claim our little bit of interest in that. We are a festival that takes place on Main Street. That's the one thing that people come to us for, is they look at this as a small town, and they want that small town feeling. If you look at our pictures and everything on our website, we cling to our Main Street. And it is a beautiful sight to see a parade coming up Main Street on a sunny July day. We also draw in about 40 to 50 vendors for that day. And if you walk up and down Main Street in Donald, you don't see a whole lot of companies that are out there trying to sell. So we actually have to grow our own vendor list that day. So we draw in people to sell and everything, and that's really what makes it a nice day. Since we've been in existence, we have donated $4,000 back to different community organizations. We've donated food to food banks, local church food banks, the North Marion School District, we've donated to their scholarship fund and to other things within them. We've donated to the Aurora Fire District, the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and the Lewis and Clark Young Marines Group. We are heavily supported by Wilco, Hazelnut Growers of Oregon, and GK Machine, along with all of our other sponsors that are on that list. The thing that I think that we've noticed with that is that they realize that this is a city worth investing in. And from that, they want to see this grow. They want to see the image of the city grow. And I believe that everybody should recognize that. This is a small town, but it is worth investing in. The citizens are taking an active role in it. They're cleaning up this area. As the mayor said earlier, we're having a cleanup day in town. That's being drawn. Moving forward, we are going to be trying other community events. Last year we implemented a trunk or treat program for the kids. We actually drew in kids from outside the city, and we're bringing in just things for this city to take pride in. And moving forward, we will continue to look for that. As other people have said, we are desperate for volunteers. We are, as a matter of fact, in danger of going under because we have a lack of volunteers. And that'll be our focus for the remainder of this year, is to pull in enough people to help us put on this festival and continue it. With that, I will ask if you have any questions.
I don't see any, but I do hope you get those volunteers. It sounds like a great project and really does highlight the community.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just can you remind us what the date is for next year?
It is the second Saturday of July.
Always the second Saturday.
Always the second Saturday.
Thank you.
It's the same
County
day as the
Fair.
Marion County Fair.
Maybe we can get together.
We're always the second
We'll hold it
weekend of
here.
July, so,
Yeah. We have to pick a day.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie Bradley, Marketing Director of GK Machine. Morning. Oops.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Connie Bradley, and I am the Marketing Director at GK Machine. And I was invited here by the Mayor and Heidi to give a short presentation on a new beautification group that was formed from some volunteers interested in helping the city of Donald. The volunteer group was formed out of a workshop conducted by the U of O's RARE program from a support from Marion County. During the RARE workshop this summer, the group outlined some goals and action plans to be completed within the next 90 to 120 days. The very first action item we came up with was to develop a community-wide questionnaire. I believe you have a copy of that in front of you. It was in order to receive as much input as possible from the residents, the business owners, and even employees who commute here to Donald. We wanted the community to give us their thoughts and ideas on what they want this beautification group to focus on. This questionnaire is due September 20th. The group will meet right after that and go through the questionnaire, tally the results, and we'll also post those results on the City of Donald's website. The group will continue to meet over the next year to put together the action plans and projects together based on this questionnaire, and we feel like we'll come up with 3 or 4 main projects and we'll focus on those. We feel like it's a great time to put this group together as things are growing and changing here in Donald. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity for the update, and if you have any questions.
Sounds like a great project.
Yeah, thank you.
Connie, before I let you go, the company you work for is pretty dynamic too. It's always bustling, innovative. What's going on there just before we let you go?
Well, you know, GK has been operating here in Donald for 41 years. We went through a recent expansion a couple of years ago, and since that time we are now up to over 170 employees. There's some exciting things coming in the works. It looks like we'll be hiring more employees over the next several years, and we're excited for the new opportunities coming down the road as we grow and expand.
Great.
Well,
And just, Mr. Chair, if I may, if you would thank Gary for his support of the Oregon State Fair and all his sponsorships over the years. And just, in fact, I was there probably 4 or 5 nights this year, and he was there almost every one of those in person, as well as the support of the pig races. That was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, he loves the pig races and the little kids' tractor pulls. He enjoyed that. And he was there almost every single day this year. So
Yeah.
that just shows how much he supports the community.
And thank you for the support of the Marion County Fair as well, so thank you.
Thank you.
Our next is Doug Hoffman, President CEO of Wilcox. As you're coming up here, Doug, I don't know what this means, but
It's
my-
Wilco.
what did I say?
You said Wilcox.
Oh,
You're not perfect, so.
I'm from Harrisburg.
Eggs or something.
But anyway, what I want to comment on is my fellow commissioner now has 2 of these and I have none. I don't know.
You don't? I have 50 of them in the back. In
Then
fact,
let's
everybody
talk.
in the room can have some hazelnuts because we
It's-
are in the hazelnut business and we want
Mr.
to
Chair,
promote that.
it's called a quick hand.
Yeah, I know. I know how it works.
Yeah, you should check Kevin's pockets. Yeah, right, so.
Anyway, good morning.
Yeah, I am Doug Hoffman, CEO for Wilco. I'm really pleased to be here. I did not present a written testimony. I can do that if you wish. It's more just to thank the commissioners, thank the city of Donald. Quite honestly, as we come into this community, we've been here for 80 years under the Donald Co-op. Back in the late 1930s it was formed, Wilco itself. Donald was one of the original founders of Wilco in 1967, so we're just celebrating our 50th year this year as a business in Marion County. Just for a little more background on Wilco, we are in 5 other communities within the county. We have about 300 employees, or we'll have about 300 employees when we consolidate from Washington County. We're going to rob some from Washington County as we bring the plant down from Cornelius to Marion County. So most of those people live in Marion County. So we appreciate your leadership as county commissioners to make it a good, safe place for all of us to operate and live in. So that's not an easy task, especially as the diversity we've got. As we've come into Donald in particular, we're going to bring, starting about October 15th, we will open our distribution center, which will be the south end of the building, the 240,000 square foot building we have over there. Half of that will be a distribution center for our Wilco Farm stores. And with it, we're also bringing our truck fleet, which will bring about another 25 trucks, all total in that side of the business. About 50 employees will basically transfer from Mount Angel over to here. One of the key factors in looking at what is the economics, and we talk about, we do know where Donald is because we've been around for 80 years here, but also the logistics side of it next to I-5, next to Newburgh, across the river. That will save us about $250,000 in transportation costs. I mean, that helped pay for the lease. We are leasing the facility from our landlord, and the landlord carried the heavy weight of getting the whole building set up, and including the neighbors that we will have in the future. They're very complimentary of the work they did with Marion County as well as with the city of Donald in making this project work. Our experience has been very good. SEDCOR, by the way, Sam, you brought up that earlier, very important to the whole process, helped lead us to find this property, find the landlord, in particular to be able to do this development. We're going to open the hazelnut side, the north end of it, will be ready for next year's harvest. Some people would call it filberts, by the way, but it's next year's harvest. We'll be ready with that. A lot of equipment will be going in the rest of this year. That will bring about another 50 employees or so, because we are modernizing. We've got about 75 employees currently in Cornelius, but we are modernizing this plant considerably and taking out at least half of the forklifts that we had operating the old plant, and that just needs less people and more modernization. We are looking to be able, that capacity of the plant on a normal shift, not even running double shifts, will be up to 50 million pounds of hazelnuts. We currently are moving 25 million tons, pounds. That would be pounds. We're moving as we do that. And currently, the hazelnut industry, there's 65,000 acres of hazelnuts planted. Just not many years back, there was 35,000 acres. Projections are to go to 100,000 acres. So we have a lot of capacity going on. And one of the reasons we moved to Donald in particular, again, logistics. As you look at it, that I-5 interchange, Newburgh Bridge, crossing the Willamette is key for our growers to bring the hazelnuts to us, as well as for us to move it back out. So logistically, Donald is beautifully situated. Water and sewer, that's a challenge. It's a challenge here, and there's no question about it. I-5 corridor, I-5 interchange, big challenge. And I think that's going to be highlighted, and I know you're working hard on it. We've talked about that a number of times. I think we all just need to keep the pressure on that side of it, because we want to be safe. We want to be able to get in and out of that exchange real quickly. We think we have adequate water for what we need to do. We're not a heavy water user in this plant because we reuse a lot of it. And we've got a huge pond up there. They're calling it the Hoffman Catfish Pond, by the way, just in case. They think I'm going to come out there after I retire and keep an eye on them, fish catfish. What do you think? So I'm not planning on doing that. Well, one of the other challenges, I think, as we look at the continued, there's a lot of hazelnuts coming in, and quite honestly, with this plant in particular that we're looking at here, is to move it to a food grade quality plant. That was the key aspect. The Donald or the Cornelius plant is, we're food grade, we're highly rated. I mean, we've got the highest ratings there for food grade, but it's difficult. This one will get us to that level, which that means then more consumption. Because quite honestly, what you see in that little small pack there, we need to quadruple the consumption in the United States around hazelnuts, or even more. With this 100,000 acres coming on, which a great bit of that is within Marion County, China can't take all those. There's no way we're going to get rid of those in shell internationally. We need to be looking at how we're going to consume those more. They're a healthy nut. and good for your health, but we just need to get people eating them rather than almonds. So as there's no almonds produced in Marion County, so keep that in mind as you're eating, okay? The other challenges, quite honestly, as it comes, and I've been here in the county now for 23 years, and I've seen a change in ag practices considerably. We've got what was primarily family farms, generational farms. Now we're seeing a lot more outside investors that are in it as an investment versus a family farm. Puts challenges on the supply system. They're also looking at changing their cropping patterns. Again, heavy vegetables it used to be. Now it's getting less and less with the processors struggling in that aspect. And it's got to do with the high price of labor, high price of land versus other parts of the United States. That's part of it, isn't it? The processors have done a lousy job. We're only willing to pay so much in the marketplace for it in our grocery stores. We want consistent quality food. That's changing, switching to more permanent crops like hazelnuts, blueberries, more organic coming our way. So a lot of change going on within ag. That really drove us to really partner with Valley Agronomics, quite honestly, in Idaho as we looked at size and scale. And so our local unit here right now under ag went from Wilco to be Valley Ag. It's a wholly owned LLC within our entity as we partner there. But those challenges, because of what we see happening within the county and within the Willamette Valley of changes is driving major changes going on. And you're hearing from some other businesses within the county that have that challenges. The other part is just the consumers are changing there, but the opportunity really is we do have the best production ground in the United States, I believe, in the Willamette Valley. We can produce about any crop that you want to produce. We just got to continue to find our niche and the right economics, so it's constant change. Just keep that in mind as you build infrastructure, that what we have from a legacy standpoint is going to change, and how we supply that and how we do that. So I appreciate very much, again, what the commissioners have done in keeping our county safe. Again, City of Donald has done a tremendous job in making this new project work for us and make it smooth despite a very rough winter. And if you drive by there now, they're moving dirt pretty heavily to the east to try and make sure that they have a good working platform to build something additional maybe this winter. The landlord is being very quiet about any who or what or anything, which is they should be quiet. So those are the ends of my remarks. So thank you.
Questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Doug, for your presentation and your service. And good luck as you go catfishing later on in life.
Yeah.
Catfish fishing. Take him with you. He'll probably like that. I just have one quick question. The total investment when you're done, and I know you're in an enterprise zone, as the mayor alluded to, so there's some deferral, not deferral, but some abatement on
We're going to be
taxes.
putting, I don't know the total cost of the building because it is a lease, the building and the improvements totally. The landlord is very wise not to reveal what that total investment is. Our lease rate is significant, but the equipment itself we're putting in there, we're going to put in just shy of $13 million worth of equipment. Into the hazelnut side, we'll put another $5 million into improvements in office and racking, HVAC and whatnot in the entire building. So all total, we're putting in about 18, could push $20 million in new investment,
Okay. So,
plus a lease.
so eventually there'll be some taxes paid on that equipment when the enterprise zone.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will be a
Thank you
major
for-
one, as well as providing, living wage jobs, quite honestly, of people that live within the county that will be paying taxes also.
Right.
As we work through that, and providing a market. The key part here is, I think we're providing a market as a cooperative. We're owned by our farmers, 3,500 of them, but we're providing a market for these hazelnuts as they're coming on. That's the key part there, and a great distribution center for our farm stores. So,
Thank you.
Okay?
Before you, just a couple of comments. One, I've been watching all these fields, relatives, putting them in, so that you are able to help complement their efforts and make it
Yes.
work. That really pleases
Yeah.
me. This is minor, but I went to your groundbreaking a few months back.
Yes.
You mentioned the food grade, you mentioned it again today. So how's that different than the filberts I've been eating? So what are you trying to accomplish? Come on, you know I'm my wife.
Are you sure you want to know?
Yes.
One of the things that we do that is different than any other processor in the valley is we pasteurize the hazelnuts.
Oh, it is, okay.
So, and to make sure that it is 99.9% germ-free, you might call it. The other hazelnuts do go and they get dipped in a sterilizer, you might call it. I want to call it. And so there's a difference there. Either way, you're getting rid of the.
It sounds like the quality taste ought to be better with
The
your.
quality, yeah, we believe it's a better quality taste. Now, that's one piece of it, because either way, you're going to, in order to sell into the U.S. market, you got to do one method or another. You're either going to pasteurize it or you're going to dip it. The other aspect gets to be is there are standards with how on sanitation and all those things that needs to go through to make sure that those hazelnuts are clean, free of garbage and whatnot, glass. You know, when you pick up the hazelnuts out in the field, you pick up everything that's out in the field, and so you bring those in. So you got a lot of garbage. So and you got to sort that out, sterilize it, make sure it's clean and free, so you don't get sick when you eat those. You want them healthy. So no recalls. That's important.
I don't know, I want to tell you this, but you know, my dad could crack them in his hands. I wish I could do that.
He was very strong.
Yeah, I know. I found out the hard way a couple times.
Yeah. my dad, the first time out here, just a story then around that. So, first time out here, he said, you know, I want a 50-pound bag of hazelnuts and take them back, and I'll crack them all. He got about 10 pounds into the 50 pounds, and he goes, this is a lot of work. Because he couldn't do it with the pliers, he couldn't do it any other way, so it's a lot of work. So mechanically, it's much easier. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Doug. All right, our next is Lee Richardson, owner of Rich's Gun Shop. Lee, good morning.
Well, hello, everybody. This is out of my normal realm of scope of things that I do, speaking to people, but I wanted to first of all say thank you to the city of Donald. You guys are awesome. They have been so gracious to us when we moved out here, and everything that we have done and built and improved on and expanded has been because of these folks and allowing this and working with us to do this. Where I moved from the Lake Oswego area back in the year 2000, that whole regime has changed out there as far as the city planners and council and all that. We could have never, ever accomplished anything in a big town like that, let alone maybe survived like we have now. We have brought I hope we have done some good here and brought some business and helped the business grow and whatnot. I'm a very positive person. I'm a hard worker, family of 5, kids and whatnot, and feel very strongly about the freedoms that we have in this country and how blessed we are. Eagle Scout myself, for all my boys, Eagle Scouts, those things mean a lot to me. That flag means a lot to me. Did a little bit of homework just on you guys' bios, okay? Didn't know what I was gonna get into here. Rick says, speak on anything. I'm going, really? Anything? Okay, what am I going to speak on? Really? I'm just a little entrepreneur. Okay, I have 2 businesses, invented a few products of my own and whatnot for the firearms industry. I'm this little speck of nobody, okay, in the scheme of things. What am I going to do and bring to you folks here? You guys are very broad-reaching, it looks like, here from your bios and what you've done. You've been busy, okay? Especially you guys running businesses, it looks like to me. Over the years. I know what that's like. I know how hard that is, okay? It is not easy. Fighting the powers to be that seem to many times and most of the times be against small business, okay? So I thought, okay, what can I say positive here? There are a lot of positive things, don't get me wrong, and I'm a positive person. And all the people that do that, it's fantastic. We wouldn't have what we do if that weren't the case, okay? But we can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of negative, and there's a lot of work to do to try and bring this country where it needs to be. And I'm not stupid enough or naive enough to think that this group or you guys have all power to do all things. You have your core stewardship. He does? Okay. But it does have to start somewhere. I don't know what all you guys have done or what all you do. My understanding is about paper thin because I'm in my own little world. But I do see what goes on a national level. And as I've been in this business my whole life, my father started it and trained me as a gunsmith, and then lost him and continued to build the business, I've seen a lot of changes. Some good, a lot of negative changes. Gun law is one thing, okay? Going against what this country was founded on, all right? Taxes up to the sky, okay? Every time we turn around, what do we hear on the news? Tax, tax, tax. Some commissioner, some politician, somebody somewhere is trying to sneak in another way to tax and just grab more money. After a while, businesses cannot sustain that indefinitely, okay? I'm sure Wilco and everybody else feels it. Every time they turn around, they got somebody pushing down on them, holding them from doing something. At some point in time, you know, we've got to fight back on that a little bit. And I guess maybe the one thing that I can say from just a local thing, do the right things, okay? I hope you guys do. I'm sure that a lot of right things have been done. You can read somebody's bio or you can read whatever. I don't have the time to go into depth to see what everybody's done in their history, okay? So I'm probably speaking out of turn and out of line here, but do the right things to build what we need to keep this community, this county, and this country and state strong. We have people from a national level tearing it down to shreds. The last positive things I saw growing up in this world was some of the things that I saw Reagan stand for. From there, it seems to me that this country's been on a tailspin ever since, okay? Now maybe he went no angel either, but we have a lot of work to do. And it's a grassroots level that we need to do this and utilize, and I really hope that you guys are and will continue to utilize the funds that come to you to appropriate them for where they best need to be. All too often I listen to the news or I see things going, all these monies were collected and sucked out of the business owners to be used for this or that or whatever. Let us be wise stewards of what we have jurisdiction over and responsibility over to make this country stay livable, sustainable, and maybe I'm preaching to the choir here. I hope I am. I hope you guys are just doing a fantastic top-class job, okay? You got to remember, I see it from my little window of world that I'm in, okay? But you do see enough about what goes on out there with the corruption in politics, in our national politics, our state politics. I will tell you that I've been down to Salem a number of times with gun bills that have come up the last couple of years and have sat there to be this far from people, and I've never done this before in my life, having to get involved in that way. The Floyds, Prozanskis, and the Val Hoyles, and the people like that who are there to just strip our rights away from us and to try to communicate with them and to be this close as I am to you, Sam, and to see that their mannerisms, like I am nothing but a serf, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway to further their personal agenda, to give them more power, control, whatever it is. But I really hope that we can, all of us, do what we can to keep what we have left before it's completely gone. I don't want to leave that on a negative note. I really don't. But I see this country in a very, very, very difficult time in many, many respects. So anyway, thank you all very much for what you do. And again, thank you, folks. And I leave you with that.
Well, don't go away just yet.
Okay.
Questions or comments?
Uh-oh.
Go right ahead, because you're the all-powerful.
Well, we'll just stop that. That's so,
I do have a comment, Mr. Chair. Sorry.
Please.
I know I tease you a lot about that, but you mentioned you're just a little speck. I heard you say that. Don't say that again. I really believe that we're all critically important in this world. And yeah, we may be one of 4 billion people or however many people there are in the world, but what you do and how you're involved does matter. And I really appreciate the fact that you're stepping up to do those things. So thank you.
Thank you.
I could go on and defend it, but I really think this bunch, this group, tries to do the right thing. And when you look further into it, I hope we'll talk sometime and say, you know, for example, you made me do this. Commissioner Carlson has worked tirelessly trying to find, I know you talked homes here in Donald, and she lights up because she wants to find places for everybody in the world within the resources we have. And Commissioner Cameron is just killing himself for economic development. We've seen evidence of that in the testimonies this morning. And I just kind of hang along for the right, and it works out fine. So the other thing I wanted to tell you is that Lee did some work for a pistol of mine here about a month ago, and I've messed with it, but I'm hoping to come in after this meeting and fine tune it. So you'll see how I think about gun control too.
All right.
Anyway, thank you so
So,
much.
and if I could just add just one little factoid, in terms of how we allocate our county general fund, which is what we have most control over, 78% goes to public safety, county jail, district attorney, sheriff's office and enforcement, juvenile, justice court, yeah, so that's where your money's going in Marion.
It's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah,
But it's good to know.
right, well, it's for public safety, which is
Yeah.
critical.
Number one priority.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Roads too.
Next is Carl Redmond from General Manager of Bear Electric. Carl, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and other county officials. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and have a short address and conversation with you. I also want to recognize the city government, City of Donald. If anybody ever needs an example of a group of people who can wring the best bang for the buck out of government spending, it's these folks. And I say that in all sincerity because, you know, we hear a lot of conversations about tax dollars and fees and everything else and the growth of big government and how inefficient money can be spent in that way. You hear all the various opinions. This group of people here are, in my mind, a shining star of, I can look at any dollar that I give to the city of Donald and think that money will be well spent and for the greatest bang for the buck possible. So my appreciation to the city. Also to you folks, I appreciate you taking the time to come here and listen to our input. So Bear Electric will be 40 years in January of 18, so coming up on our 40th anniversary. Most of those years we've been located in the old schoolhouse right here in Donald. And it's interesting, we have about 73 employees, none of which live here. And the reason for that is they can't find any place here to live. So we cover the entire state of Oregon. Most of our work happens in the Willamette Valley because that's where most people are, but we're all the way from the California border up to the Washington border. So we work everywhere. On occasion, we have been able to hire somebody to work at our office who did live in Donald, but then they always move. We provide high-paying jobs. Our average journeyman wage for our electricians is in excess of $35 an hour, and that does not include the benefits that we add on top of that. And so they're well-paying jobs. This is a great central location. It's kind of unique. We're centrally located, but we're not really close to anything as far as where a lot of construction happens, you know, because you got the Portland metro area and Eugene areas, you know, south down there. And I've been in the construction industry since 1977. And so when I came and took over Bear Electric, I was formerly a general contractor in the development industry. one of my first thoughts was, well, this is an odd place to be located. I think I'll move the business. Well, that thought died away a long time ago. This community is why we're here. There's challenges. We had a period of time where our yard was broken into weekly. We got to the point to where we had to have hired people patrolling our little piece of real estate over there nightly, because they would just cut the fence, come in, steal copper wire. That was when, prior to some reforms being made about the recycling of scrap wire. And that also brings me to the point to give a shout out to the Marion County Sheriff's Office, who have been terrific. I live in the Portland metro area. I can call law enforcement up in those areas many times, and sometimes they'll call you back. Sometimes they'll say, well, we don't send people out for those type of calls. But every time that we've ever called Marion County Sheriff's Office, somebody showed up at our door. And so I think that's another good value that we have here in this community. But beyond that, it's the community itself. I can take off at lunchtime on a nice day and I can go for a short walk. I can walk over to Lee Richardson's place at Rich's. I can chat to some people at his place. I walk down by Wilco Farms, run into some people over there, stop in, buy some fertilizer for my yard. I can go down to GK Machine, buy Traeger barbecue pellets, for my barbecue. And so it's a community of people, we know each other. And I think that is so significant that what makes this work is those relationships with business to business, to the residents, and then of course with our local government. One of the things that I think that's important is, it's not my phrase, but I copied it from Ray Kroc, about you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting. And I think, there is nothing in the middle. You can't just stay the same. A decision gets made whether or not you're going to grow or you're not. And if you don't grow, you rot. And I think that applies so well to the direction for a city, for businesses, for all levels of government, is that we always have to improve and grow. And in the case of Donald, it's great that we have the industrial park coming into town. But just like you heard earlier about the problem with housing, there's one that's just right south of us, and we had a person who was interested, but by the time they went and inquired of it, there's already 6 offers on this relatively small home right down the street. So when we try to get people to come here to work in our office, for example, as opposed to field crews, we actually pay more to get somebody to work in our office than we pay in Portland, because they have to commute here. They can't move here. There's very little options for somebody to locate here. So as we grow in industrial, commercial, agricultural uses here, that's a real concern that I have, is how hard is it for us to keep people to work here if they're having to commute here? And even though we have some communities that are closer, our employees, we have people who live in Yamhill, Carlton, Newburgh, Kaiser. We jump across, we're in Malala, Canby, some Oregon City. So it's everybody around here, and everybody that has to come to our shop all drives to here. And it's not because they wouldn't want to live here. Even if your commute is only 15 miles, walking to work's better. But, so that's something that I hope there's a real close eye on as far as how Donald will be successful in the future. It's only going to happen if we grow both business uses as well as an opportunity for residential, because I'm not the biggest employer in town. People like Wilco and GK, this is such a bigger issue for them with such larger groups of people, but I just wonder what it's like for them, trying to recruit people to come here. And when people ask about the housing opportunities, I know what a stumbling block it is for me, so I think it would be the same for anybody that comes here. I think the opportunities are terrific. The comments have been made previously also about our location to the freeway. It's outstanding transportation. We do have some challenges related to traffic safety, but thanks to your work and the Sheriff's Office and the City of Donald, we have these little steps that are happening, and every one of those is an encouragement, that good action is being taken here. So the summary for me is just that we've got to keep this growing. We're on a great path. The City of Donald has made great strides in involving the business community in what's happening in town, and so I thank them again for that, and appreciate your being here. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
have any questions.
I'll let you go unscathed, but thank you so
All
much.
right, I'll be the first one. Thanks.
Rod Yoder, Chief of the Aurora Rural Fire District. Rod, good morning.
Morning.
Got to speak with you beforehand, but
Yeah. I'd like to thank all of you for setting this up, City of Donald and all the commissioners. I saw I had a 9 o'clock meeting this morning, and so I left home a little early. I have a 1 mile drive to get to work. And I was kind of irritated because they were trimming trees, and actually it took me 7 minutes to get there. So then I got to thinking about all of you that have set this up to come all the way down here so you can participate with our community. And I really appreciate that because I'm sure you guys had to get up a little earlier than normal too. So thank you. Side note, Wilco Farmers. I went to a Wilco Farm store. I drove 180 miles to get there.
You got lost?
No. I was up at Port Orchard.
Oh, yes, Big Harbor.
In Gig Harbor, yeah. My son lives up there. And it was interesting, I went up there to help him work on a new place, and we had to go get some stuff, and he said, well, there's a Wilco Farm store that just went in. So I went up there, so they're getting further out than a lot of people might realize. Beautiful store. It was great. I'll give a little update on the Aurora Fire District, but I'll start with where we started. In 1948, the fire district was formed, and some people don't realize, they think of the communities of Aurora and Donald, and they think of the cities, but our fire district's 64 square miles. It was formed as a district. It takes in both the cities of Donald and Aurora, but it goes all the way from Shampooey Park on up to Whiskey Hill, if you're familiar with that area, almost to Barlow, goes to the Willamette River, takes in everything on the Willamette River on this side, except for there's a small housing development called Charbonneau. And so Tualatin Valley actually has to drive through our fire district to get to part of theirs. And so we serve a large area, very diverse. We have 7 miles of Interstate 5 right through the middle of our district. If you count both north and southbound, we're really protecting 14 miles of I-5 because it's separated, of course. We have 5 miles of 99E, 7 miles of the Willamette River that border us that we protect. 2 airports. Actually, Aurora State Airport is the 3rd busiest. Lenhart Airport is pretty busy too, and we have quite a few air calls out there at times. We're in 2 counties, so 1/3 of our district is actually in Clackamas County. 2/3 of our district is in Marion. So that has a lot of challenges for us. We're probably the furthest you could get away from the sheriff's office in Marion County, being out of Salem. We're about as far as you can get from Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, being out of Clackamas Town Center area. We're right in the middle of the state police office from Portland to Salem. So I'd have to say we appreciate and the professionalism that your sheriff's office in Marion County provide to us has been exceptional. And we realize that there are time challenges because of our location, but we've had nothing but good working relationship with them. So we appreciate your sheriff. And we have 2 railroads going through our district. So we have lots of potentials, and we've had several calls too. We've had a couple Amtrak calls just this last year with collisions. So luckily, there weren't any passengers injured on those, but we have the potential for mass casualty on the railroad and on the freeway both. And so for our district, it is a challenge. We started out, I started out 42 years ago. We went on 60 calls in a year. That's about 5 calls per month. And this last year, we went on over 1,000. So for us, we were all volunteer-based when I joined, and you were put on the fire department. A week later, you were on the truck, and you were learning as you went. Now, we bring on new firefighters, volunteers. It takes 190 hours of training before they're certified that they can actually go into a structure fire. So that's part of our challenge is, it used to be socially based, but everybody was there to go put the fire out. You did what you needed to do. Now, the training level that's required just to function has gotten to be a big burden for our young firefighters when they come on, or for our citizens when they want to volunteer. So we're working with that. We're being creative with that, but it's just harder to get volunteers, and it's understandable. I think people are more in tune to their family. Not that they weren't in tune years ago, but there's more things that people are doing with their kids, which is good, and that takes them away from being able to volunteer. And we tell all of our volunteers, your family has to come first, and we appreciate their service, but that's kind of where we're at for volunteers. And we've instituted a program where we have a house just beside the fire station here and one next to Aurora, and we have students that are going through a fire program at Chemeketa, or some of them at other agencies, and we give them a place to live, pay for part of their schooling, and they live here and respond as volunteers while they're in that service. That's helped. So those are kind of the challenges we have. Now we've gone from full volunteer to just 4 full-time employees, but that just gives us coverage during the day on the weekdays when most all of our volunteers work out of town. We used to have a lot of farmers. There's not so many small farmers anymore that can just leave their work. That's how I started out, actually, I was farming and I could come volunteer. So I've been with the district 42 years, but I really only worked technically the last 13 as an employee. So we have 28 volunteers, but half of those actually don't live in our district. They come pull shifts. So we give them a place to stay at night. They'll spend the night at the stations. That's helped too. And so that's pretty much where we're at. Our current plans, obviously training's a big thing, and we have a piece of property in the middle of the district that Commissioner Cameron actually helped us when we went through the process of being able to get that 10 acres for someday to have a central station and training facilities. We're now going to be able to actually put some training facilities there, and largely that's in result of a donation from a lady named Betty Dianoso. She was a lady that we went out on a call 4 or 5 years ago, and she got to know our crew and appreciated us coming out there, and she said, you know, I don't have any family. I'm going to give you my house when I'm gone. And we've been out there several times since then, and this last year she passed away, and she donated her complete estate to the fire district. And we did just sell the house that she donated. It was up there across from the Aurora Airport, and with the money she donated in that, it's roughly a little over $250,000 for the district's budget, and our budget committee had dedicated that towards facilities, and training facility is what we're going to try to build there. So with all this training, and it's not going to be just for the Aurora Fire District, we work with Woodburn, Hubbard, Canby, Molalla, Colton, and Monitor, and we do a training academy so we can get these firefighters trained. So if we can get some facilities right there, it'll be a perfect spot, and we might even try to put a modular that we've come across that surplus, that we could actually have a crew there, maybe for night calls, so we're in the middle of the district covering our whole area. So those are some of the plans we're working on, and glad to take any questions.
Are there any? I see you writing. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. And Chief, thank you for all you do. I see you everywhere I go. You're every place. How many acres is that piece of property? I don't remember.
It's a 10-acre parcel.
Okay.
And it's ideally situated for us. It's exactly the center between the Aurora and Donald stations. When the district was formed, they put a Aurora station in, and actually Barney Feller, Mr. Feller from Donald, came to the board meeting and said,
you know, we're a long ways away from Aurora. What's the chance of getting a station over here? And that's where it started. I've done a lot of research in the history through all of the minutes. And so they put a station here then, and that was the start of having the 2 stations. But we only have staff right now for the daytime, and so it's stationed at the Aurora station, and you're 5 minutes further from the center to here. So that's our idea with that central station during even the day and nights, putting something there, but it's perfect for state police, county sheriff, lots of things we could share at that location.
So I know you're creative with all those things. I was just thinking, is it big enough for retention ponds?
Oh, yeah. You mean for sewer or for our own use? I was thinking retention, because we're already studying that. If we're going to put a retention pond in.
For
just
sewer
for,
retention pond.
Yeah,
Well, we'll follow up.
Yeah, we'll follow up. There is a 10-acre parcel right next to us that's separate, that's on the west side of that.
Thank you.
So,
Anything else? Thank you. You might listen to our next, Commander Ladd's going to speak and may have some news for this area in terms of sheriff coverage, so.
yeah, like I say, we've
Listen
had
close.
great working relationship, and we look forward to working with you guys on the transportation. I kind of didn't hit that where I should have. Our biggest problem coming from Aurora to Donald, obviously, is the Aurora interchange, and I know you guys have plans for rerouting Bent's Road to where Bent's Loop is. I've seen the plans, and I thought that the county was going to, even if we don't get the state quick enough, that would cure half of the problem there, because of, obviously, you know that having that road right next to the interchange is causing a lot of the backups where I thought they had the plans to
I
move
don't
it.
know where we are on that. I've seen
Hopefully.
it. It drags it out pretty long. I don't know that it answers the question, but that's.
You know, it doesn't take care of the problem of the interchange. What it does, and it'll be in the final anyway, is it cures the problem of having a road right
Okay.
next to the off-ramp. And that's where our accidents are right now.
Well, Mr. Chair, I was told, I heard our Public Works Director say that the construction would be started in 2018, but then I also heard, because of the moving up that interchange on ODOT's list, that we were gonna wait. So I don't know, I'll have to clarify, because they didn't want to do some work and then have that work be thrown out
For no
reason.
Yeah, from my point, it looks like even with that work, it's gonna need to move anyway, so that's why.
Okay.
I mean, we have 2 intersections they're working on. The state's doing Highway 551 and Ellen Road. That's a big tie-up also, but that's moving forward, and we're involved with them on that as far as the planning. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ron. Again, thank you for your service to this community. Eric Ladd, Commander, Marion County Sheriff, don't forget to talk about, since I brought it up, new resources in North County.
Looks like I brought everybody, Commissioners. So, thank you for having me. For the record, my name is Eric Ladd. I'm the Enforcement Division Commander for the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Talk a little today about one of our new deputies up here, and thank you very much to the board for granting an additional position to the general fund for us. That position is going to be Deputy Todd Bay. He'll be stationed up in the French Prairie area for us, which geographically, if you look at the North Marion School District and the St. Paul School Districts, so from Whiskey Hill over to the east, follow the river up over north, come down to about Marthaler or Mahoney is kind of what we're looking at in that area. It will allow Todd to work Century Meadows, Butteville, Broad Acres, and Deer Park estates, plus be able to cover the interchange there at Line and I-5 and some of the issues that we can have over at the truck stop from time to time and help resolve some of those. So that's what we're looking at geographically. And really, as we have the conversation with Todd, it's problem solving through connectivity for us. And it's having a deputy stationed up here 40 hours a week that can flex the schedule. Todd was up here last night until Heidi kicked him out, apparently, at a meeting. But being connected to the different parts of the north end of Marion County. I just want to point out Heidi again for her great work up here, and she spoke so well that Donald is unique and the north end of Marion County is unique, and that it's closer to Portland than it is to Salem. So already Todd's been up here since the 5th of September, and he's made a couple of trips on follow-up up to the metro area, Tigard in particular, for crimes that happened at the north end, but it's taking him up there, and it's nice to be able to have that. So he's making that connection with that law enforcement agency to help solve crimes that are occurring up here. So as we look at Todd's role, being connected to ODOT at Ellen and I-5 as they begin to look at that potential remodel, to Highway 551, which we know that ODOT's going to be working that one to be connected and know what's going on there. State parks at Shampooey. So when they're having issues potentially over at Shampooey State Park, that Todd can be out there on a regular basis communicating with them to help solve issues as they come up. So there's those internal pieces here locally that we want Todd to be connected to. And then the other piece for us is to be connected to the law enforcement agencies, which are unique here. So if you start over at Newburgh, Washington County, Wilsonville, Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, Canby, are all agencies that touch this north end of Marion County for us. And then we see issues that can be solved by having better and stronger partnerships. Those partnerships coming back internally a little bit with Jeff Wood's folks at Parole and Probation, so that Todd can work collectively with Jeff's folks, not only at adult parole and probation, but even with juvenile, to work with the juvenile department. Again, for folks that work and live up here, it's a 20-plus mile drive down to Salem. So how can we help juvenile with some of those concerns? Potentially even if those kids have meetings down at juvenile, that we could help facilitate that move if we have parents that have a tough time getting down to Salem. So just creating those bonds and those connections. We talked a little bit about on the traffic side. Commissioner, I'm hearing that Bent's Court has been signed by Public Works, and that's working out quite nicely. That's a partnership and a relationship with the businesses there on Bent's Court and Public Works and ourselves. So I'm hearing some positive things from that. Another introduction that I want to make for us is Chris Baldridge, who you know. Chris formerly worked downtown in our operations division, and Chris is starting in July. He came out to patrol, and so he'll now be our patrol lieutenant. So he'll supervise the 4 patrol shifts, so the 32 deputies and the 5 sergeants that cover patrol for us. And then Chris is also driving this morning's car, Hero car design.
I just call it goofy, but that's all I can think of.
So, and with that introduction, Chris.
This is personal. Thank you, commissioners. Yeah, so exciting new
Would
times.
you pull the microphone over a little bit, Chris?
Sorry. Exciting new times in our office. Before I get to the car, I would be remiss if I didn't have the opportunity to thank the businesses that we have in the back row and everybody here attending this meeting. Some of the things that we're going to do in the patrol division that we're currently doing, and hope that we can even get better at, is really to steal a lot of the ideas that businesses like Wilco and Bear Electric and Rich's Gun Shop that are in the back utilize now currently. Whether like Wilco, I called them today to get diesel delivered to my house, and my amount of diesel that I order is so small in significance to some of the farms that they're serving, but I'm the most important customer to them at that time, that moment. I had Bear Electric out at my house the other day because my shop lights wouldn't shut off, and the electricians were responsive and attentive to my needs and very, very serving. We at the Marion County Sheriff's Office, we're kind of, we're stealing a mantra of being responsive, relevant, and reliable. And it's very in line with what those businesses are doing, and that's kind of our expectation of the patrol services that we're going to be providing to our residents, whether it be on the north end, south end, or east end, being responsive, relevant, and reliable. The car out there is a unique idea brought forth by kind of a collaboration effort. It really is a conversation piece, and if you haven't seen it, it's parked out in front.
I think people see it. Yeah,
you can't miss it whatsoever. Although I will say that I did write a ticket in a school zone on Cloverdale Elementary the other day. I was parked out where everybody could see me, and they still managed to blow right through there. So it can happen. But really that car is all about conversation. It's a conversation on traffic safety.
And it's amazing that when you pull up to a gas station or somewhere locally, how it stops people in their tracks, and they want to talk about the car, not only the car and what it's doing, but what their relevant issues are in the area and what's happening around them, and it almost inspires that. What I hear a lot is, well, if I saw that coming, I'd slow down. Well, absolutely, that is exactly what I want for you. I've seen it. I've been driving it for about 4 days now. It has a very profound impact on traffic. It's very interesting. I've had it on a couple of highways. Normally, people, when they see our patrol cars, respectfully, they generally they try and pass us at, we'll be doing 55, 60, and they'll do 62, and they'll come by us, and that's all well and good. This car, nobody will go by it whatsoever. They actually stop in their tracks, and then everybody just lines up. It's the most amazing thing that I've seen out of a police tool. So that's kind of the idea behind that car. We're happy to have it. It's very unique. I believe we have looked into it, and I believe we are the only one in the nation currently with a Mustang with the Battenberg design, which is it's designed after the European police car. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see it, please, I would encourage you. It's in front of the fire bay doors. I wanted our car to be brighter than the fire trucks. No offense, Chief, but so it's out there. And please, I'll after the meeting, I'll be happy to show people around it and walk them through it and everything like that.
And for myself, just in closing, on the traffic and the continuing conversation around education, engineering, and enforcement, this afternoon at noon, we'll be down in St. Paul. Representative Post, his office has set up a meeting down there, so ODOT, Mayor Wallace, and myself will be down there having that conversation about the intersection down there.
I'll be joining you, but I won't say much.
Very well, sir. That is all.
All right, thank you. Any questions or something? Thank you all. The next person is Ginger Redlinger, Superintendent, North Marion School District. Good morning, Ginger. We heard you were coming when we were in Hubbard, so now tell us what you've done.
Chris, there's a packet for each of you. I'll just take with you. Spend a lot of time reading the packet. Thank you, Commissioners, for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. First of all, I want to thank, first and foremost, our first responders. They've been very gracious and helpful in our school district. They've been present at many events, whether they be from Aurora, Donald, Hubbard, or for the County Sheriff's Office. It's been spectacular. They're also volunteering to help with classes this year in the local school district. Gun safety, we're looking at Eddie the Eagle gun safety class, internet safety class, distracted driving, and then a drug and alcohol prevention class as well that will be taught by the Sheriff's Office. In that way, we build community, which is the job of schools, is to make sure that every citizen feels well connected to not only the governance and the overseeing of their community, that they participate, but they have a strong, positive connection to all of our first responders. And that in a volunteer situation like we have in our small community, where we're more independent and self-reliant, they need to participate. And so we have active patrolmen for the young students to engage in volunteer fire department training. Very excited about this community and what it does for itself, along with asking for help from others. I also want to thank each community leader here that I've had the opportunity to listen to. Schools would not exist without their communities, and communities are equal partners in our success and deserve an equal share of the credit at all times. So our goal, again, I said, is to build community, strengthen the natural connections that are already here between the individual communities that we serve, and there are several, and the people that live there, so that they're all a valuable resource. Sometimes we think about, from my seat, when I think about problems of transportation and getting people here, and I think about growth, I wonder about the people that I have in my schools and how well I'm preparing them to engage in the community that they live. And are they our most valuable resource? And if so, how can we prepare them to be active citizens in their own community? For us to be able to do that, we have to, as a school district, reach out, be more transparent than we currently are, improve our communication, and help everyone develop a sense of identity within this region, within this county. I'm forming advisory groups, everything down to 5th grade students out to the community groups. So some of you will be hearing from me, inviting you to participate in our advisory groups as we do research about how things are changing and how the schools need to respond in order to address those changes so that our kids are prepared. We also have to be mindful of the future and the rapid pace of change. It's happening so fast, and I've heard it from several people here as well. I've been mindful of that for years. But with all the change, we also don't want to lose what's unique and special about this community. It's agricultural focus, it's businesses, and we want kids to grow up here, and then whatever they do afterwards, want to raise their families here. Whether they stay the whole time or go somewhere and come back, we want them to raise their families here. Challenges. Well, as you know, our high school has been around for such a long time that it's now eligible for Social Security. And as all things that occur to us as we approach that stage in our life, some parts just can't be easily replaced. And things do not work the way that they used to. So for us to be able to provide a place for students to accomplish the goals that we've set for them, each building on our campus right now requires work. Our current bond is expiring, a new one is on the ballot. It's going to be Measure 24-426, and there's information there. Because I'm a superintendent, I'm not allowed to advocate for it, so I will not do so, except I will encourage everyone to get more information about it at this time. It provides campus-wide improvements, especially in the area of security. One of my concerns right away is that there are, even with doors locked, there are so many ways in which a person can get into the building that I'm very, very concerned that must be addressed. And also the improvement of the vocational career technical education program is a high priority of mine. So anyway, there's more information about that. So with that, thank you again for the opportunity. Our challenges are shared. They're not unique. Unique to our school is clearly facility related at this time. There are more as we go over time, but I'd like to focus more now on the things that we have in common, the problems that we're facing. So thank you again for the time.
Thank you. Thank you for waiting so long to present to us. Really appreciate it.
No questions?
Good luck, well, just that, good luck with this bond, and I know you'll be, however much you can work on it specifically, and I hope it's successful.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take about a 10-minute break. I'd like you people that want to get back to work to go ahead. We have a few more minutes of, looks like rather routine county business we'll take care of after the break. So let's shut down for 10 minutes. And those of you that leave, thank you so much for coming. And we very much appreciate and enjoyed it this morning. So
It's unexpected in Salem.
all right, we're back, and thank you again for hosting us here in Donald.
Maybe I did it last week. That's what I
We have a couple
I think it's
items here this morning. The first, our consent calendar. Commissioner who?
Cameron.
Cameron.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent calendar. First under the consent calendar is business services. Approve a contract for services with the YMCA for $100,000 to support the court care program for September 1st, 2017 through January 2nd, 2022. Under the Health Department, approve a purchase order for the Cardinal Health in the amount of $350,000 for opioid treatment medications.
And I'll second the moment with the clarification it's through 2021.
What did I say, 2020?
You said 2022.
Goodness.
Man,
All
see,
right.
talk about perfection.
Yes, I know it. All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar this morning. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. We have 3 items under regular agenda here, but under action, the first is under the health. Consider approval of a contract for services with Oregon Family Support Network for $500,000 to provide peer support services from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2019. Sydney Nestor, not Cindy.
Thank you. I'm Sydney Nestor. I'm Division Director with Marion County Health Department. And if it's okay with the board, I'll kind of talk about the OFSN contract and the Youth Move contract together,
Okay.
if that works. So I'm really excited to request to expand our relationship and service array with Oregon Family Support Network and Youth Move Oregon. Both these organizations provide really critical peer-delivered services to youth and families that have really complex and chronic cross-system concerns and issues. Youth Move Oregon is part of a nationwide organization called Youth Move. They have one of the most active chapters in the country here in Oregon, and they provide a broad array of services. We've been contracting with Youth Move Oregon to provide peer support for our young adult rental assistance program. So this allows us to expand and provide enhanced youth peer support to our Mid-Valley Wraparound program. Oregon Family Support Network is a statewide organization which has their primary office in Salem. We've had probably a 10-year relationship with Oregon Family Support Network. And again, this contract allows us to expand our existing services and add something new. They've been providing peer support for families involved in wraparound for many, many years. The last 3 years, they've been an active partner in our emergency department diversion program, which has been one of the most successful in the state to help both divert and decrease the amount of time that children and families are spending in emergency departments. This contract expansion allows us to also have Oregon Family Support Network provide peer support to Marion County's new Youth and Family Crisis Service Array. So any youth or family coming into and requesting crisis services from Marion County will be able to access peer support from Oregon Family Support Network. The really great thing about both these organizations and these contracts is it allows us to serve every youth and family who's interested in the service regardless of insurance or lack thereof. Have any questions or comments?
A couple of questions. First of all, thank you for coming all the way out to Donald and waiting through all the presentations to present this. This is really critical services. So can you tell me the source of the funding? Are we using a mix of Medicaid and grants? Is that how
we are using a mix of funding here? We'll be using, it's a combination of capitation of money from BCN, general funds, and then some of the money that we got from Department of Human Services to support the system of care.
That's what I was wondering. That's great. Okay, and then the second question that I had is that if you recall, we had a presentation of when we did the volunteer week, and we had the folks that were involved in the peer support program, and they were mourning the loss of the program in Marion County, and there was some discussion after that about it moving to Project ABLE. So could you talk a little bit about how these services and Project ABLE connect, and so kind of where does this fill a gap or a niche in Marion County's array, and how does it connect with some of these other services?
Sure. Marion County, I think, is really unique in a lot of ways. I'm sure maybe Portland may outpace us, but we have a large number of consumer-run organizations, which are called CROs. So these are nonprofit organizations that are staffed by individuals who have been service recipients, whether it's young adults, parents, or adults who are living with a serious mental health condition. Project ABLE is one of those CROs here in town. The program that you're referencing is CCPC, Community Care Partnerships, which Marion County started when peer support was like a thought in someone's mind without any implementation across the state. And it was really, it was nationally recognized. It was created to really start the movement towards providing peer support services to individuals. We're really, really proud of the work that CCP did, and it seemed that it was time to have that organization move to a CRO, which allows it to have more creative funding, allows it to have more flexibility in the individuals and organizations that it supports. We continue to provide technical assistance and staffing support to that organization just on a ad hoc basis because we believe in the mission. So there are a number of these CROs that serve adults. ROC, Recovery Outreach, is another one.
So I guess my question really is less about the organizations, because I know quite a bit about the organizations, but whether this is a different clientele that you're looking at for Oregon Family Support Network. I get that Youth Move is kids, but and so are you kind of dividing up the population? So this one that used to be in the health department, the Project ABLE's doing, maybe is more single adults, and this is more families, and the other is youth. Can you kind of talk about that?
Right, it really helps create a whole array of peer support. the family support it's a unique service what's really unique about family support is the service recipient is the youth, of course. And so parents who are raising children with complex needs, whether that's developmental disabilities, mental health, or chronic medical conditions, often really benefit from that peer walking alongside them in order to support them and give them hope that things can be different. So I think I'm still not quite answering your question, but this does allow us to have an array that provides essentially peer support to any child, adolescent, adult, or parent or grandparent. We serve a lot of grandparents also who are in need of that advocacy and help getting their voice to the forefront in any service planning.
Okay, so I guess if I'll just rephrase my question one more
thank
time.
you.
So Oregon Family Support Network is not serving the same population as you used to serve in the health department with Project ABLE, or is it?
It's a very different population.
Okay, all right,
Mhm.
that was my hunch.
Thank you
Okay.
for restating.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
All right.
Sorry.
John.
Mr. Chair, I think it's important for folks who are watching this anyway on TV and folks in Donald to know that the health department is our largest department in Marion County. And our health department supplies all of the health needs for the county, whether it's behavioral health or public health or environmental health. And they do a great job. One of the things that Sydney is here to talk about, she's one of our top administrators in the health department, is what we're doing for children in Marion County. We're developing a children's crisis capability, and she talked about the peer support. Kids in crisis can be helped immediately with that crisis, but they need somebody to keep helping them. Mm-hmm. And that's where these support services are so important, not just for the children, but also for their families. And I really appreciate the work that Sydney and her group does, because it's very important for kids. One of the things that we're seeing now is an ever-increasing problem with suicidal ideation and suicide attempts. And so we're really working hard to keep kids safe, and that's really important for all of our families. Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
So, Mr. Chair, we'll move these in two separate
Okay.
motions. I'll do the first motion, which is I would move that the board approve a contract for services with Oregon Family Support Network for $500,000 to provide peer support services from July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2019.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to contract with Oregon Family Support for services through June 30th, 2019, as just said. Any further discussion? I hear none. All in favor then say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And then the next, Commissioner Cameron, if you'd make the motion
Mr.
if you're
Chair,
ready.
I'll move that we approve a contract for services with Youth Move Oregon for $355,000 to provide peer support services to youth from August 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2019.
I'll second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to contract with Youth Move Oregon through June 30th, 2019. Any further discussion? Go ahead if you have to. No? All right, then all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sydney.
Thank you.
Now I'll open the Contract Review Board. We consider approval of an order allowing the use of a special procurement for Business Services Department to engage Idea Learning Group for $500,000 to provide custom instructional design and production services through June 30th, 2022.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's good to see you in Donald today rather than down at the Senator hearing room. My name is Camber Schlag. I am the Contracts and Procurement Manager for the Finance Department. And with me today, I have Stacy Vrooman.
I'm Stacy Vrooman with Marion County Business Services, and I'm the county's Training and Development Coordinator.
So we are before you this morning because the Business Services Department is requesting an exemption to allow the use of a special procurement to establish a long-term countywide contract with Idea Learning Group to provide custom instructional design and production services for e-learnings for Marion County. In 2015, Business Services completed an informal request for proposal to obtain a vendor to outsource the creation of the county's e-learning modules. The contract was awarded to Idea Learning. In that time period, Idea Learning Group has created around 30 e-learnings for the county. A lot of departments have got wind of this service, and they are anxious to get on board and to be able to create these e-learnings. So far, we have created e-learnings for the health department and for business services, which are typically county-wide e-learnings. The original contract that we issued in 2015 has exceeded the amount allocated for that contract, which was around $140,000. That's why we are before you today to request a contract amount. Right now we have an estimated amount of $500,000, and that is because so far with just the 3 departments that have an immediate need, which are District Attorney's Office, Finance, Health, and Business Services, that alone would be half of about $250,000 worth of services. So we'd like to have a 5-year contract to be able to allow other departments to utilize this service. The neat thing about Idea Learning Group is that it creates a custom instructional design and production e-learnings and a product storyline that allows minor changes to be made by the county departments versus having to go back to the contractor for small changes in the final product. Upon the completion, the county departments own the source materials and are housed on the county's learning management system. So typically, sometimes vendors own the source material, where in this instance, we actually get to own it. So it's ours forever, which is a great thing for the county. So the Business Services Department recommends approval of a special procurement for the award of a contract with a value of not to exceed $500,000 with Idea Learning Group for services to include custom instructional design and production of e-learnings with a term through June 30th, 2022. This was posted on Orpin for 7 days, which is the county's method for posting solicitation. We did not receive any protests regarding this special procurement. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead. Just really quickly, in the I'm not sure what page I'm on, but it says the 30-minute session will cost $12,000. Is that a 30-minute video, or that's a 30 minutes of work to help create a video?
It's a 30-minute video.
Okay.
And it takes around 300 to 500 hours to create one video. So,
Depends on who the actor is. It might take longer if it's one of us.
Drag things out. Anything else? Commissioner? Anything?
Did you have anything on that, or? Good, okay. So we're still under the Contract Review Board, and Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the order allowing the use of a special procurement process for the Business Services Department to engage Idea Learning Group, should say for up to $500,000 to provide custom instructional design and production services through June 30th, 2022.
I'll second it, and it does say that in the recommendation.
Right.
I was moved and seconded to approve the special procurement for Idea Learning Group through June 30th, 2022. Any further discussion? I don't hear any then, so all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, that motion passes. Thank you both
all right, thank you.
for coming here. Well, that takes care of our business this morning. A quick notes. First of all, I want to thank Donald for hosting us, or the Donald Fire Department for letting us be here. CCTV, I know it's hard for you. You got to relocate and move down, but it's good to get out and see the country. So I hope you enjoyed it, but thank you for your effort. Christy, Lisa, all involved in letting us do that. And John finally found us. And Heidi, Barney fellow was mentioned, but the most important person for your historical lesson that ever came out of the Donald area was Amelia Feller. So look that up if you don't know her or of her. Anything else this morning?
Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd like to thank Lisa and Christy for coming up here early this morning and setting up here in the fire hall. They did a great job.
All right, anything else this morning?
Just want to know where that funny colored car is going to be parked, because I drive down the freeway.
You'll see it.
So you gotta read the calendar?
Oh, yeah, I gotta read the calendar. Good enough.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, the last thing I'll do is take care of this. Place will be together in the following week, a rather short list. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, Kaiser, Marion County meeting, Sherry's Restaurant, 4998 River Road in Kaiser. And then at 9:30 tomorrow, Board of Commissioners Chief Administrative Officer meeting, executive session is necessary pursuant to ORS 192-880-2A, B, D, F, H, and I. And that'll be in Silvert's Conference Room, 5th floor, 555 Court Street in Salem. Thursday, noon to 1, it's been mentioned once, the SEDCOR Annual Award Celebration at the Salem Convention Center, 200 Commercial Street in Salem. And then Thursday evening, a fun one, 5:30 to 6:30, Marion County Fair Volunteer Celebration, the Round Table Pizza, 6055 Eulalie Drive in Kaiser. So, unless somebody has something else, again, thank you to all involved. We'll call this meeting adjourned.